Hey everyone, it's Casey, and this week's manner of death is homicide. Delmas Traversie Jr. and Carmen Charger. From March 13th through the 15th, 2019, there was a snowstorm near the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation. In House 717 near Eagle Butte, South Dakota, 63-year-old Delmas Traversie Jr. and 39-year-old Carmen Charger were murdered. Delmas and Carmen were enrolled members of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe Indian Reservation. Both are survived by family members. The FBI is offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest and conviction in their case. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of information released about the investigation. In fact, very little besides the location of their deaths is known. If you have any information about their case, please contact the FBI Minneapolis Field Office at 763-569-8000. You can also contact your local FBI office as well with information. Ronald Owen Hardhart and Wilson Edison Black Elk Jr. On Tuesday, June 8, 1999, the remains of Ronald Owen Hardhart and Wilson Edison Black Elk Jr. were found on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota, near the Nebraska border, close to Wickre, Nebraska. Ronald and Wilson were both living in the reservation and were last seen alive on the main road to Pine Ridge from Wickre on June 6, 1999, just 2 days before they were discovered. Sources say that the men were beaten to death. There have been various marches and activism done to bring awareness to the deaths of these two men and other unsolved deaths around Wickre. It's no wonder, as little evidence has appeared over the decades and the case for these men have gone cold. The FBI is investigating their case and is offering a $50,000 reward to any information that leads to an arrest and conviction. If you have any information about Ronald or Wilson's case, please contact your local FBI office. Jesse Wallace Cook. On the morning of October 29, 2016, 32-year-old Jesse was found on the ground near a water tower on Willow Street in Eagle Butte, South Dakota. An autopsy revealed that his cause of death was blunt force trauma. At the time, Jesse was enrolled as a member of the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. The FBI is investigating his case and are offering a $10,000 reward for information that leads to an arrest and conviction. If you have any information about his case, please contact your local FBI office. Tamara Ann Haas. On September 1992, Tamara Haas, who was 19 years old, headed to a homecoming party in Yankton, South Dakota with her boyfriend. She didn't return home that night and was later reported missing. A few days later, her body was found in a ravine not far from the party location, just across the border in Nebraska. An autopsy was performed and her cause of death was revealed to be a broken neck. It is suspected that she had been in the trunk of a car before being placed in the ravine. 3 years later, her boyfriend at the time, Eric Stucco, was charged with manslaughter but was found not guilty. After that, no new leads occurred and the case remains unsolved 3 decades later. The FBI is involved in the investigation and a $15,000 reward is offered for information that leads to an arrest and conviction. Her family also created a Facebook page called Justice for Tammy if you want to go and give additional support to her case and bring awareness. If you have any information about Tamara's case, please contact the Yankton Police Department at 605-668-5210, or you can contact your local FBI office. Pamela Halverson. In August of 1999, 27-year-old Pamela Halverson left her home to go to Walmart, according to her boyfriend. When she didn't show up for work at a daycare center or at home the next day, she was reported missing. Days later, her body was found in the back seat of her black 1988 Ford Tempo near 10th Street in Sioux Falls. Her cause of death remains unknown, but because of how she was found, her death was ruled a homicide. Her boyfriend at the time, Gary Javers, was seen as a suspect but was never arrested. He passed away in 2013. Police believe Pamela's case is solvable. They just need some more information to tie up the case. Pamela left behind her son and other family members. If you have any information about her case, please contact the Sioux Falls Police Department at 605-367-7212. Arden Anderson. Arden Anderson was a 61-year-old man in 1983. He was described as someone quiet who kept to himself and liked following a routine. It was this routine that led to him being killed on June 21st, 1983. On that day, Arden was taking his usual route along U.S. Highway 12 when he stopped at a rest stop. There, he was shot coming out of the men's room. It is thought that whoever killed him must have known his habits of stopping at that rest stop before continuing on to the nearby town of Webster, where he would regularly eat at a cafe. Arden's death scared people in the region, and hitchhikers were looked at differently afterwards. Arden was remembered from his high school by participating in the class play and his dream of being a lawyer. He also had a hobby of hunting gophers. When he was killed, Arden was a farmer, though, instead of a lawyer. It has been several decades since his death, but there have been no arrests made in his case. If you have any information about Arden's case, please contact the Day County Sheriff's Office at 605-345-3222. Alicia Hummel. Alicia Hummel was a 29-year-old preschool teacher from Sioux City, Iowa. On June 1st, 2015, around 3 p.m., she was found deceased in the Missouri River near a boat dock in Myron Grove, South Dakota. Apparently, Alicia had went fishing that day, as it was the first day of her vacation. Earlier that afternoon, she was known to be alive as she had sent a Snapchat photo of herself to a friend. An autopsy found she had died from drowning that was caused by blunt force injuries to the head along with incision wounds to the neck. Her case was then ruled a homicide. Alicia had graduated college several years before and decided to get a job as a teacher since she loved children and being outdoors. People described her as having a heart of gold. Alicia was going through a divorce at the time of her death, but her former spouse was ruled out as a suspect. Since then, no new leads have come up. If you have any information about her case, please contact the Clay County Sheriff's Office in South Dakota at 605-677-7100. Wilma Nissen. On October 4th, 1978, a telephone company employee was laying down cable near West Lyon School in Lyon County, Iowa, when they discovered human remains. The body was in a ditch near the school and was too decomposed for recognition. The victim was found with her feet tied. The female victim would be known as Jane Doe until January 31st, 2006, when a fingerprint was matched to Wilma Nissen. She was only 23 when she was killed. Wilma was married several times and had had a daughter. She worked as a sex worker in order to make ends meet. She was last seen alive in Atlanta, Georgia, by Charles Inman Belt, who had traveled there with her. He said he saw her leaving his mother's apartment, and she never returned. To this day, no one has been arrested for Wilma's death. However, there was an update in 2016 when police released a photo of a woman they suspect was involved in Wilma's death. I will place that photo up. The suspect has yet to be named because police want eyewitnesses to come forward with her name as evidence. The suspect and Wilma both worked for the same escort service called Playgirls or Playmates, and they often went to parties as dancers, according to witnesses. It's thought maybe Wilma was killed at one of these parties and then robbed. If you have any information about her case, please contact the Lyon County Sheriff's Office at 712-472-8888. 8300. Clara Olson. Clara Olson was a 93-year-old woman who was living in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. She was a landlady and lived at her home on 820 West 11th Street. It was there she was found on August 6, 1986, strangled to death. A previous tenant was interviewed, but nothing came from it due to lack of evidence. The case is still being investigated to this day by the Sioux Falls Police Department. Few leads have come up since then because Clara was an older lady and had few enemies. If you have any information about her case, please contact the Sioux Falls Police Department at 605-367-7212. Monica Bercier Wickre. Monica Bercier Wickre, also known as Mona, was born in 1950 on the Turtle Mountain Reservation in Belcourt, North Dakota. She married and had 2 children, but later divorced. She then married a second time and had a third child from this marriage. In 1993, Monica was living in Aberdeen, South Dakota with her husband and son. On April 7, 1993, Monica's husband dropped her off at a local bar called the Body Shop to have drinks with friends. It wasn't odd for Monica to go out by herself because she was outgoing and very social, and her husband was less so. This was quite normal for them. According to witnesses, Monica left the Body Shop with a couple and a single man. She knew the couple, but was not familiar with the other man. Apparently, the couple dropped the man off at his car, and that's when Monica decided to leave with him instead of them. At least, that is the testimony of the couple. This will be the last time Monica was seen alive. It was several weeks later, on April 26th, that Monica was officially reported missing. Months passed, and on June 16, 1993, Monica was found in the James River by a canoeist. She was identified through dental records, but her cause of death is unknown because of the condition her body was in. Her case was ruled a homicide. There have been suspects throughout the years, but nothing concrete enough to lead to an arrest. It's been nearly 3 decades and her case remains unsolved. Monica leaves behind many family members who seek answers and justice. They have created a Facebook page called Justice for Monica, and if you'd like to reach out and give additional support, you can visit that site. If you have any information about her case, please call the Brown County Sheriff's Office at 605-626-7100. Victoria Eagleman. Victoria Eagleman, also known as Vicky, was a 33-year-old mother of 5 who had recently been divorced in 2006. Because her marriage had ended, she had moved back in with her mother on the lower Brule Lakota Indian Reservation while she straightened up her life and looked for a job. During this time, she had started dating a man named Bernard LaRoche, who was known as Sonny. According to Vicky's mother, their relationship was toxic and violent, with Sonny having caused injuries to Vicky. On July 28, 2006, Vicky, Sonny, Sonny's sister, her boyfriend, and Vicky's sister went swimming and drinking on Lower Brule Lakota Indian Reservation along the Missouri River. This was witnessed by several people who remember seeing Vicky and their group there. Later that night, Sonny gets home and says Vicky dropped him off, but he didn't know where she was going afterwards. The next day, Vicky's sister came home and said she had seen Vicky that morning and also stated that Vicky and Sonny were arguing the day before. Several days pass, and on August 3rd, Vicky is reported missing. Later in August, Vicky's glasses are found by her children about a block away from their grandmother's home where they had been living. Her glasses were broken, and a ring belonging to her was also found nearby. After this discovery, Vicky's mom, June, started receiving phone calls from community members who gave their theories about what happened to Vicky, and some of them were described as just being awful. I don't know why people will do this, it just seems really insensitive. On August 22, 2006, the community formed a search party. Noticeably, Sonny did not participate, and he had kept referring to Vicky in the past tense during his interviews, which did not look good. The first day of the search, they discovered nothing. However, the next day, Vicky's body was found naked and in a culvert. Her clothing she was last seen wearing was never discovered. It is said that she had suffered blunt force trauma to her head. What's odd is that later in the year, her case file was discovered outside the police department on the street. Her crime scene photos and everything were just there for all to witness. How does this happen? I don't know, but it really shouldn't. I don't see how a police department can just so easily lose evidence. Luckily, someone came by and noticed it was a file on a case, and they handed it back to the police department to hopefully be kept in better condition. It is thought maybe pertinent evidence was lost or compromised as the file lay outside, and who knows if that happened. As of right now, Vicky's case remains cold and no one has been arrested. If you have any information about Vicky's case, please contact the FBI Peer Office at 605-224-1331. Hey everyone, thanks for watching and listening to the end. Sorry that this is a little bit late. I got kind of caught up and busy the last few weeks, so yeah, but I'm going to try and be a little more regular with it. So hopefully you'll see another video next week coming out. Also, I just wanted to say that I put some organizations and some activism groups that are working towards making awareness about missing and murdered Indigenous people. So if you want to support those groups or share and have more awareness spread about them, go ahead and check that out in the description. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.